to week 2 of my February hashtag challenge. Yeah, I hope you watched week 1 before this one, but if you haven't, I'll link it in the description, so go watch that one first. Just because these are kind of in a sequence, and on week 1, I explained to you what hashtags are for, what they're used for, what they can help you with, and yeah, you should watch that one first. And also, if you haven't watched that one first, you probably haven't subscribed to my email newsletter yet. So that's the way you'll get the homework pages for each week. Each week I'll send out the homework page for that week, and you can get all the weekend to fill it out. And I'd also love if you could send it to me in the DMs or something like that. What I usually do when it comes to these things is that I airdrop the PDF to my iPad, and I like to fill it out there. But even if you just want to print the pages and take a photo and share it with me, I'd love to see it and give you any tips that I have, or just talk to you about it. I'm really excited about it, so I could talk about it all day. But then again, I like to ramble, so that's why I have my notes here, so I can stick to what I want to say and not ramble. But if you know me, and if you've watched my videos before or my Instagram stories, you probably know that I always end up rambling on for forever. So that's kind of what you signed up for. But yeah, today, if you've watched the last week, or if you've watched the preview for this challenge, you'll know that today is all about the why less is more, or the minimalism of hashtags, as I like to call it. And no, I don't mean you should use 5 out of the 30 hashtags that Instagram lets you. That would be crazy for me to think about, let alone recommend to you. There's definitely contradictory information about how many hashtags you should use. Some say 20, some say 15, some say use all the 30. Now, I'm team 30. I'm team that you should use all of the hashtags that you can. But again, like I said last week, and I'll say it again this week because I think it's that important, you shouldn't just throw in 30 hashtags and hope they stick. The 30 first hashtags that you can think of. No, please don't do that. I think you should think about them, and that's why it takes longer. That's why it's a time-consuming task, and that's why I offer it as a service. So if you don't have time for that, I'll link my services page down below. But yeah, if you want to DIY it, that's what this challenge is for. So let's start talking about the meat of this episode. When I say less is more, I kind of mean small is more, but that doesn't sound as good. So I mean, you shouldn't use those hashtags. You know those most used hashtags that people use? Hashtag love, hashtag Etsy, or even hashtag handmade. Those have millions of posts already, and what will happen, let me try to explain this in a way that everyone can understand. What happens is most people that use those hashtags, I'm sure they think about, oh well, if many people are using them, it means they're great. Or if many people are using them, many people must be searching for them as well, and therefore they'll get more visibility. Now, let me explain my side of the story, because I obviously have learned a lot about Instagram along the way. So I want to share what I know with you. That's the point of this challenge. What happens when you let's use the example of hashtag love for now, because it's February, and actually this episode will come out on Valentine's Day, I guess. Yeah. No. Yeah. Again, I'm rambling. But happy Valentine's Day to you if you're watching this on the 14th. What happens when you use hashtag love? I could check it, but I'm not going to do that right now. Maybe I will. Give me a second. But that hashtag probably has millions of posts. Hashtag love. Let me see. And it also gives me a time. Okay. See that? I don't think it can focus. It has 1.7 billion posts. Please don't use hashtag love like ever. So yeah, if you go into the recents of this hashtag, again, sorry, my computer doesn't like to focus on my phone. But yeah, then again, my camera quality is awesome. So yeah, the latest post on the hashtag love was posted 10 seconds ago. The second one, 19 seconds ago. The third one, 23 seconds ago. So they are like 5 seconds apart. And this will be important for what I want to explain to you. So, what happens when you use hashtag love is that in the recent, I'm not going to show you because you can see my screen. But when you post something, if you post something right now, this exact second, I'm not even going to say this exact minute because it's seconds. It's seconds that you stay on the recents page. You know, on the hashtags, you have the top tab and the recents tab. And your goal should be not only to get on the top tab, that would be gold, especially for smaller accounts, but you should aim to stay in the recents tab for as long as possible. Because I don't know about you, but when I look at a hashtag, I don't necessarily go for the top because those are pretty overwhelmed with likes and comments and everyone's there already, so I like to go against the crowd and go to the recents. Again, you can see it, so I don't know why I'm sharing this with you. But yeah, when you go to a hashtag, if you're like me, people really go for the recents tab. And you want to stay in there for as long as possible because if I, like, say you post something right now, we're using hashtag love, this exact same second, you will stay on the recents tab. Like the first 9 posts, the 9th post was 2 minutes ago. So the time that you will have to be noticed using hashtag love will be 2 minutes. Or let's be optimistic, 5 minutes. That's the time that you get after you post that people can find your post using hashtag love. Now, when I said use the 30 hashtags, I also said to use them thoughtfully. Do you think that's a good strategy to waste one hashtag with it being hashtag love or something like that? I don't think that's a good strategy because, I mean, out of the 30, if you really want to use like hashtag Etsy, that I don't know how many it has, but probably a lot too. Yeah, hashtag Etsy has 31.2 million posts. So if you want to use hashtag Etsy, I'd say go ahead, but make that the only big hashtag you have. Because that hashtag is very improbable that will give you any new followers, any new sales. Just give me a break. I'll actually be in Madrid right now when this video goes out. Again, I'm rambling. But yeah, instead of using those big hashtags, or again, I said you could use one of those, but if you can, focus on the niche hashtags. Now, again, like last week, I'll use the Etsy example. Do you know the tags you put on your Etsy post? I used that example as well last week. You really don't want to use hashtag or tag your product with brown, for example. Or I think last week I used the example woman. If you use those tags, you'll be shown to more people, but they won't be your people. So With hashtags, it's pretty much the same. You should aim for using long tail keywords, which is a term you use in SEO and Etsy as well. So, long tail keywords, if you're not familiar with those, it's pretty much keywords that they consist of several words, so not just one. It's a keyword that looks longer. So think Etsy sellers. Oh no, Etsy seller of Instagram. I think Etsy sellers has a lot. Let me check again. Yeah, Etsy sellers of Instagram has 3.1 million posts. But if you go look at Etsy seller of Instagram, that one only has, I say only, 247k posts. So if you're going to use a bigger hashtag, but you don't want to use a million hashtag, not a million hashtags, a hashtag that has a million posts, Etsy seller of Instagram is one of the bigger ones you should have. I'd say don't go above 500k, but this one is not bad. Another one I have in my notes is Etsy gift. Etsy gift. My internet is getting pretty slow, but that one has 188k posts, and also Etsy business. Etsy business is smaller. It has 78.3k. So that one is the best one of these three. But again, you only use them if they fit your content and your account. And I'd say don't be afraid. Some people are afraid to go for the 1k hashtags or the ones that only have 500 posts. I'd say there's definitely potential in those. Because again, like I said with the recents tab, think about it. If you use a hashtag that only has 500 posts, you'll stay on the recents tab for longer. And therefore, if someone looks for that hashtag, say a week from now, they'll still see your post probably. Like, I can think of one specific one right now, but if you use a smaller hashtag, you'll be seen for longer. Now, I wouldn't say, sometimes the smaller hashtags are the bigger hashtags with, like with a letter off. Like, for example, I gave you the example of Etsy seller of Instagram, but that's still well written. Sometimes they have a letter off, and that's why they are smaller. I wouldn't say go for those, but if something makes sense for your business and your content, and it's a smaller hashtag, don't be afraid to go for that. Because, yeah, like I said, there's potential in those, and it's kind of a trial and error thing. So that's why in last week's homework, I gave you that table for you to fill out with your three latest posts. I don't know if you've seen last week's homework. I hope you have, but I could pull it up right now, but I don't think I have it open right now. But I told you to write out your three more recent posts, and write out the total impressions you had and the impressions you had from the hashtags. So I definitely think that's an exercise you should be making at least once a month, to because hashtags change. Like, you probably figured it out by now, but next month, the hashtags that I'm reading right now won't have the same amount of posts. Especially the bigger they get, the less consistent they are. So you should revise your hashtag strategy or hashtag groups, I'd say once a month. That's what I do for my own accounts and for my clients. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to cover this week. Go for smaller hashtags. Don't be afraid to lose out on people, because it will be the opposite. You'll reach more people for longer. And it will also be easier if you use the smaller hashtag you use. It will be easier for you to land on the top tab. And again, that's gold for you if you're a smaller account. Because what happens is the top tab, it's the ones that get the more engagement, the more likes and comments in a shorter amount of time. And if you're competing with people that have tons of them, it will be harder. So yeah, aim for the smaller hashtags. If you have to use a big hashtag, go for the ones with 200k or 300k even. And if you really have to use hashtag Etsy, make that the only big hashtags you use. So yeah, go grab my homework Yeah, the homework from me to you for this week. And tune in next week next week I'm going to teach you how you should really choose what hashtags. Now this week I told you why the hashtag should be smaller, and you can start to think about it. But next week we'll be crafting the exact thematic hashtags for you. I will tell you a bit of a guideline, some guidelines, so you can think about your own hashtags. And I may give you some examples, but this is something you should do on your own. If you want to DM me during any part of this challenge, whether it is with questions or with your updates on your process, feel free. I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, tune in next week for how to choose your hashtags. And then the following week will be stories, extra tips, and a live Q&A. So I'm excited. Go grab your homework. Go subscribe if you haven't already, so you can tune in next week. You'll be notified with it. And yeah, have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye!